Welcome to the U.S. Military Summary, your front row seat to the unfiltered, high-stakes reality of modern combat. We cut through the noise to bring you the raw breakdowns of America's military operations, from strategic maneuvers to the boots-on-the-ground heroics that define the mission. If you want the real story behind the headlines, you're in the right place. Subscribe and hit the bell. In a stunning announcement that broke across social media, former President Donald Trump declared, "We got him." The message confirmed the successful, high-risk rescue of a U.S. Air Force colonel, the weapons systems officer of an F-15E Strike Eagle shot down over Iran, deep within hostile territory. The operation, executed on day 37 of the ongoing conflict dubbed Operation Epic Fury, stands as one of the most audacious combat search and rescue (CSAR) missions in recent memory. According to a person familiar with the operation, the mission unfolded in the brutally rugged Zagros Mountains near Dasht, Iran. The downed aviator had been evading capture for nearly 48 hours after his aircraft was hit, sparking a relentless hunt by Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRGC) forces and local militias. The clock was ticking in a major way, the source stated. Intel suggested bounties were already on his head. This was a "get him now or never" scenario. The rescue task force was a who's who of U.S. Special Operations elite. Elements from the Army's 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, the legendary Night Stalkers, flew their nimble MH-6 and AH-6 Little Birds into the treacherous mountain valleys. They inserted a combined team of Air Force Pararescue Jumper, PJ, specialists and Navy DevGru operators to secure the isolated colonel. Providing overwatch and sheer firepower were A-10 Thunderbolt II Warthogs and MQ-9 Reapers, turning the area into a no-fly zone for enemy reinforcements. This wasn't some quiet pickup. This was a dynamic combat extraction, a defense official told U.S. Military Summary. The team located the colonel, but their presence triggered what sources describe as a massive, complex ambush from entrenched IRGC positions. The ensuing firefight required devastating close air support from the orbiting A-10s, their GAU-8 Avenger cannons providing the cover needed for the team to fight their way to an extraction point. The exfiltration was handled by a shadowy asset, the Air Force's 427th Special Operations Squadron, operating their C-295W aircraft. This versatile plane, capable of landing on short, austere strips, swooped in under the protective umbrella of the circling fighters and drones to pull the entire team and the rescued colonel out of the hot zone. Initial reports indicate no U.S. casualties were sustained during the intense operation. But how did the colonel survive alone for 48 hours in hostile territory? For nearly 48 hours, the downed colonel was a ghost in the machine, hunted by a network of Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, Quds Force operatives and local militias who had swarmed the crash site. According to a defense official briefed on the evasion, the weapons systems officer, a veteran with extensive survival, evasion, resistance, and escape (SEER) training, immediately executed his contingency procedures. This wasn't some Hollywood run-and-gun, the official stated. This was a masterclass in controlled, patient survival. He knew the immediate area would be flooded. His job was to disappear and buy time. From his perspective, trapped in the brutally steep terrain of the Zagros Mountains near Dasht, the situation was a high-stakes game of cat and mouse with a ticking clock. A person familiar with the intelligence intercepts told U.S. Military Summary that local proxies had been offered bounties exceeding $60,000 for the colonel's capture, dead or alive. The IRGC was gaslighting the local population, saying they'd already captured him, trying to flush him out or get a lucky tip, the source said. The colonel, likely dealing with injuries from the ejection, used the hide phase of SEER to its maximum effect. He avoided valleys and known paths, moving only at night, slow and deliberate, using every shadow and rock outcrop. He found a crevice, a literal crack in the mountain, and just stopped. 4 hours. While IRGC patrols literally walked past him, the defense official added. That's not luck. That's years of training kicking in under the most extreme pressure imaginable. Meanwhile, as the colonel conserved his energy in signal, a massive joint special operations task force was spinning up across the region. This was not an ad hoc reaction, it was a meticulously planned high-risk extraction. The moment that F-15E went down, the CSAR machine activated, a special operations planner explained. But this wasn't a standard play. Inserting into the heart of the Zagros, in Iranian territory, with the enemy on high alert. This required a tailored, heavyweight solution. The task force, assembled under the Joint Special Operations Command, JSOC, was a Tier 1 roster. For the dangerous nighttime insertion, the Army's 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, SOAR, the Night Stalkers, would again provide the ride, this time with a larger package. Sources indicate a mix of MH-6M Little Birds for the direct insertion of the assault team and heavier MH-60M Black Hawks for additional fire support and contingency medevac. The ground team was a combined cell of Navy DevGRU operators and Air Force Pararescue Jumper, PJ, specialists from the 24th Special Operations Wing. The PJs are non-negotiable for a CSAR mission like this, a retired PJ Master Sergeant commented. Their entire creed is, so that others may live. They are trauma surgeons who can also shoot, and they were there specifically to assess, stabilize, and move that colonel no matter what condition they found him in. Overwatch and the shaping of the battle space were handed to a formidable air interdiction package. A-10C Thunderbolt II Warthogs were on station, their iconic GAU-8 Avenger 30mm cannons ready to shred any ground concentration. MQ-9 Reapers provided persistent eyes-on with full-motion video and Hellfire missile capability. To handle the complex exfiltration from a non-permissive environment, the secretive 427th Special Operations Squadron was tapped. This unit, operating the versatile C-295W aircraft, specializes in landing on short, unimproved airstrips. The C-295W was the getaway car, an Air Force Special Tactics officer said. It can get in and out of places a C-130 can't, and it was the only platform that could pull the entire team and the evader out in one lift from that terrain. The insertion point, a narrow valley ledge near Ada Shed, was chosen after hours of analysis by intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, ISR, assets. We're talking a POV from the Little Bird pilots that was pure pucker factor, an aviation source described. They were flying map of the Earth, using terrain masking, completely blacked out. One wrong move and you're a fireball on the side of a mountain. The rescue team's arrival at the Colonel's mountain crevice triggered a massive, close-quarters firefight with converging IRGC forces, requiring devastating A-10 Warthog and Little Bird gunship support to enable a chaotic exfiltration that successfully evacuated all personnel with 0 U.S. casualties, according to U.S. defense officials. The moment the ground team made contact with the Colonel, all hell broke loose, a special operations planner with knowledge of the mission stated. IRGC Quds force elements had been tightening the net for days. They were on top of the position within minutes. Sources describe a sudden, violent engagement erupting in the pre-dawn darkness near Ada Shed, with enemy forces firing from higher ridges down into the narrow valley. This triggered the immediate activation of the Overhead Close Air Support, CAS, package. U.S. Air Force A-10C Thunderbolt IIs, already circling in a holding pattern, rolled in for gun runs. You hear that BRRT echoing through those stone canyons, and it changes the whole POV of the fight, an aviation source said, referencing the A-10's iconic GAU-8 Avenger 30mm cannon. It's the sound of overwhelming force. Those warthogs were putting rounds within 50 meters of our guys, shredding enemy formations trying to advance. Simultaneously, the AH-6M Little Bird attack helicopters from the 160th SOAR engaged with their miniguns and rocket pods, providing lethal, precision fire against enemy machine gun and mortar positions. The Little Birds were dancing in that valley, totally exposed, taking fire to keep the perimeter secure, the source added. It was one of the most intense CAS scenarios you can imagine. Amid the chaos, the combined DevGRU and pararescue team secured the downed colonel, who was found injured but conscious after his 48-hour ordeal. The PJs had him assessed and packaged in under 90 seconds, a retired PJ Master Sergeant commented. That's their whole reason for being there, to get that survivor moving. The team then fought their way back to the improvised landing zone under a hail of suppressive fire from the Little Birds and orbiting MQ-9 Reapers, which launched at least 2 Hellfire missiles at identified enemy strongpoints. The exfiltration became a race against time as Iranian reinforcements were reportedly flooding into the area. The plan to extract via the nimble Little Birds was scrapped due to the intensity of the firefight and the colonel's medical status. Instead, the team fell back to a secondary extraction point, where the secretive 427th Special Operations Squadron executed a high-risk landing with their C-295W transport. That C-295W came in hot, landed on a dirt strip that was basically a go trail, and didn't even shut down its engines, an Air Force Special Tactics officer explained. The entire assault team and the colonel loaded in under maybe 2 minutes of total ground time while the A-10s and Little Birds continued to lay down a wall of fire. Then it was wheels up, climbing out of those mountains with tracers following it. U.S. officials confirmed that despite the prolonged and large-scale engagement, no American service members were killed or seriously wounded in the operation. We got everyone out. Not a single Kia. A few bumps and bruises, but that's it, a defense official stated. The colonel was reportedly transferred to a waiting U.S. Navy ship in the Persian Gulf for advanced medical treatment. President Trump announced the mission's success on social media, posting, "We got him." He later added, "Our incredible warriors have done it again. No one left behind." A bold reminder of American resolve and capability. Military analysts note the operation, combining deep penetration by special forces with overwhelming and precise air power, will likely be studied as a textbook example of high-risk combat search and rescue, CSAR, in denied territory. This wasn't a raid, it was a full-spectrum combat operation launched deep inside another nation, a retired JSOC officer said. The coordination between SOF, aviation, and air power was flawless. It proves that when the decision is made, the U.S. military can reach out and retrieve its people from anywhere on the globe.